Hey friends, Josh Byrd here. Welcome to Growthwell, where we explore the art of balancing professional growth and personal well-being. Special thanks, as always, to my friends at Marketscale for making this happen. Today, I've got a really special treat for you. I've got Tim Maitland, the Chief Revenue Officer of Marketscale, sitting down to talk with us about how he helps himself, his family, and his team pursue growth well. So welcome to the show, Tim.
Josh, or as I like to call you, Birdman. So good to be here. So thanks for allowing me to share my voice on this awesome new channel that you launched.
Absolutely. You're always, behind the cameras and behind a lot of podcasters and content creators. It's fun to get you on. So, hey, tell the audience a little bit about what you do, just kind of high level, so it gives them some context.
Absolutely. So Marketscale, our mission is helping B2B companies engage their community. And the idea of that is we believe that everybody is an expert within your community, and you've got to give them a platform to get their voice heard. So at Marketscale, I help start the company at its origin, and in the day-to-day, I help really lead all things revenue and all things people. So I'm very blessed, very thankful, and it's been a really fun 8 years here with Marketscale.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know a few of your people. I won't throw any shade on them on camera. I'm just kidding. I love them. Shout out David, James, and the Marketscale crew.
There we go.
So anyway, really what this podcast is about, as we were talking before we hit the record button, is I want to know about your purpose. I want to know about your why. What gets you up in the morning and gets you jazzed to do life and go to work and be the best Tim?
I love that question, and it's probably not one that I get to answer too often, but I get to show every day. I'm a very mission-driven person, Josh. Really what that means is I take a very faith-based approach into all areas of my life, and I try to be the same person at work that I am in my personal life and let that shine. My big why, really within, I'll speak towards Marketscale, is I believe that Marketscale is really this place that can help change, our people's lives. It can be a platform in place for people to make a great income, to enjoy what they do, to be a part of something big, to have independence in their own career and launching initiatives. And, I believe that with what we're doing at Marketscale is, a blessing that God has gifted me and has stewarded me to be has gifted me to be a good steward of that. And it's kind of what leads me every day is helping support people and allowing them to see this as a place where they can grow in whatever that looks like for them. In my personal life, same thing. Before the show, we were talking about how your mission is to really be a light. And, something that I pray for every day is to be a light in the city of Dallas and wherever I am. So I'd say a very faith-based approach is my mission, and I try to bring that everywhere I go. And authentically, it's, who I am.
That's awesome. I think the world needs more people who want to put good in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And, you guys are doing that. Obviously, I'm a fan. You guys are putting out my show, which thank you, by the way. But, I think that that's so important, but it's really hard to stay grounded, right? So I find that a lot of the entrepreneurs and professionals that I'm interviewing have certain routines and rituals that kind of help keep them or get them into that flow, to keep them grounded in their bigger why, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. Do you have certain rituals, routines, things that are sacred to you that help you be the best you can be?
Absolutely. Playing college sports, routine became so critical and a part of my infrastructure, I think, in those very formative years. And it's so funny today. If I don't do a lot of those same things, I don't operate the same. It's the wildest thing. But my biggest really kind of come down to two things, and it's how I start the day. I have to be able to get into the gym and have a workout. It's one of those things, let's say I'm traveling, for example, and there's delays and I land really late and I've got an early morning meeting. I will 100% sacrifice an extra hour of sleep, even if it's only 3 or 4 hours of sleep, to get that morning workout in, just because it makes me sharper. It gets kind of my blood flowing. It gets my brain working a little bit better. And I'm using this body, right? I'm taking care of it. Second is quiet time. We live in this busy world. We all live in the same busy world where we're always connected through text and phone calls and Teams or Slack and our calendars and requirements in our personal life outside of our work. And we can just get pulled and stretched in so many different ways. So I find that around that workout time, either before or after, if I can just take literally even just 8 minutes, right? Something small, 8 minutes where I can be quiet. Maybe it's, jumping into a Bible reading. Maybe it's praying. Maybe it's just sitting there and just being thankful for all the blessings that I have. If I can just find that 8 minutes, it can totally transform my day. So those are two areas that I really hold sacred. Everything outside of that, the day-to-day will look totally different. But if I'm at least having those two action items, I feel grounded in whatever happens from there, whether it's chaos or a busy schedule.
In business these days, often chaos comes. So we have to start grounded. And it's those little things. A quick story. I'm dealing with a little bit of shoulder pain, and I was at my therapist's office literally this morning, and it's a sports medicine place. And I looked into the training facility where all the weight rooms are. I kid you not. There were 4 players from the New England Patriots, 2 Jaguars players, and 1 Jets player working out together. But guess what they were doing? They were just doing the basics, the fundamentals. Here are pros, man. They're jacked. They're doing, NFL Sunday and Monday Night Football and all of this stuff. And they're doing like little micro movements to make sure that they are in the best shape. And I was just like, wow. And it's fundamentals. It's the same stuff that I do with my trainer, right? They're pros and they're sitting there doing these same things. And it just sort of hit me that you have to be grounded in the little things and do the fundamentals right. And then set yourself in a position to be more successful. But it's not really even about success, because that's some people's destination. It's about the growth along the way, right? And so, besides those rituals, do you have certain accountabilities that you have in place in your life that help you kind of go, whoa, Tim, you're a little off balance? I know for me, it's my wife is really good at calling me out on that, but in a great way, in a healthy way. And there are others as well. But, what do you have around you that kind of helps you understand what's going on in your life from an outsider's perspective?
Definitely. So to build on your point with the fundamentals too, and this will kind of naturally lead into my answer, playing at the University of Texas, I played for a very legendary coach, Augie Garrido, and Coach Garrido's practices were literally unlike anybody else's in the country. You have players that, have been drafted previously in very early rounds or are going to be drafted in early rounds, and they know the game of baseball and they're so naturally gifted. But oftentimes, when we were done stretching, first thing we would do would literally practice. I'm not kidding. Practice running from home to first. And we would practice every single movement where we run. We get, about a quarter of the way, we find the ball, and then we either run straight through the line and stop and look right to see if the ball, went past the first baseman, or, we do that little kind of banana route and round the base. And it's absolutely incredible. It's the most fundamental thing is you run after you hit a ball, but every single day we would practice it. And he kind of preached the same thing, that you have to take care of those little things, and then the big things will take care of themselves. I think because I had that kind of locker room around me in such formative years, now as a professional and in my early 30s, I don't have that same outlet, but I have something similar in a great group of friends. I'm very blessed to have a very core group of friends here in Dallas that live close by. We meet every single Tuesday night, and that's where we just talk about what's going on in life. What are the roadblocks? What are the areas that we're thriving? What are concerns? What are fears? And what that group is really built on is being able to tell the hard truth. I know that guy sitting across from me, if he says something that maybe I think is personal, that it's really what is best for me, because we've committed to each other in this friendship to have each other's best interests. So, that group of men has been extremely important to me and helping me stay grounded and get back on track. And then I also recently just got engaged. So I've got to give credit to, thank you. Got to give credit to my fiance, Caroline. One of the things I've been most attracted to her is how good she is at keeping me not just on the straight and narrow, but really just keeping me rooted and allowing me to see what really is important. And if I get pulled off my mission, or if I have something that tends to be blocking me, she does such a good job of, helping me get back to where I need to. So very thankful to have a good group of friends and her to be able to keep me grounded.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The grounding is so important, but I find it's also really important to have kind of an action that you can take that brings you back to center, because I often say life is life, and it's going to hit you out of the blue.
Oh, yeah.
Something's going to happen. Things are going to go wrong. I remember when we were getting ready for our wedding. I'll give you a little wedding advice. All right. We were planning.
Let me take notes here. Yeah.
We were planning, and, we had everything planned just like a bride does. And the wedding planner was like, now, let me tell you something. Something is going to go wrong. Something is going to go wrong, and you just have to go with it, because overall, the night is awesome. Your friends are having fun. Most importantly, you end up married. So that's a good thing, right? And whatever it is, no one will likely know it all, and certainly won't remember, because what they're going to remember is the joy that you two share as you're getting married. And so 2 things went wrong that night.
Oh,
2.
No.
1, I'm a weirdo, listeners. I hate chocolate. All right. So there's that. We had picked out this amazing cake. It had a cowboy boot with a guitar leaning up against it on the topper. And then it had all these like country music icon things all over it. And it was caramel icing, and it was going to be amazing. So we're cutting into it. The cameras are on us. We cut into it. Man, that sucker is dark chocolate. And, the next thing is your new wife spoon feeds you for the cameras. Allie just goes, just eat it. Just go with it. Just eat it. And I was like, I smiled through it. It was great. Everybody said it was the best cake ever. I didn't have any more, but it was fine. And then, we crafted a list of songs for the band, and we did have some do not play songs, and they were things that were popular, but perhaps a little off color for some of the younger audience, right? I think they mixed up the do not play with the please play, because they played every single one of them.
Oh my gosh.
None of the parents complained.
John Get Low.
There was some of, hey, I do live in Atlanta. Okay. So there's that. But yeah, they were playing some of that stuff, and everybody said they had the most fun dancing, and it was just a wonderful night. And so, those are little things, but I say all that to say, you kind of have to realize the big picture and have the ability to bring yourself back to center, or in my case, my wife to say, just go with it. And the wedding planner goes, can't change it now, just go with it. And, you have a little bit of that structure and flexibility, and flexibility is hard for me, honestly, but we did it, and we're married. We're coming up on 14 years. And so there's a little wedding advice for you. Something's going to go wrong, but you're still going to end up married. So just go with it.
Hey, I'll take that. And that reminds me, have you heard that like Chinese proverb. I think it's a Chinese proverb about like the old man and his son, and like no matter what happens in his life, good or bad, the old man replies maybe,
Maybe.
because he doesn't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Time
Yeah.
will tell. Just for the listeners, I'll give a little briefing of it, but it's this Chinese proverb: a dad and a son, they live out in the country, and they have this horse, and they rely on this horse to plow and to take them into town, and horse runs away, and the other villagers say, "Oh my gosh, that's such a shame, you lost your horse." And the old man says, "Maybe." Well, a couple of days later, the horse comes back, and it's not just the horse, but it's found this whole wild kind of pack of horses that it naturally brought back. And now he's got, 10 horses, and the town says, "Oh my gosh, what a blessing. You're so lucky." And, the old man says, maybe. Well, then his son goes to start training these horses so they can start using it to plow and, grow their farm and their life. And he falls off and breaks his arm. And, the townspeople say, "Oh my gosh, we're so sorry about your son. That's horrible. He's not gonna be able to work, and you're going to get behind now." And he says, maybe. Well, then, a couple of days later, the, Chinese army comes through, and they're recruiting all the young men in the village to come fight with them. And, because he has a broken arm, the son can't go fight. And, the townspeople say, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky that he had that injury. He can't go fight." And he says, maybe. And the whole point of it is, in the moment, it's like your cake and like the music. To you, it might seem bad or it might seem great, but time will tell. So you can just kind of say maybe, and, just know that there's a bigger plan, and whatever it is, it's what's meant to be.
Absolutely. That's such a great story. And thanks for retelling it. I often tell ones that I work with, the companies that I work with, the entrepreneurs that I coach, I tell them, think about what's the next right step. When you get overwhelmed, like, I want to be here in 5 years, here in 3 years. And I do believe that having that kind of anchor point out there is great, but what's the next right step? I often tell them, if you're in the middle of the country and you want to go on a journey, first just pick east or west. And then on the journey, you can figure out, if you're going west, do you want to go to, California or Washington? Okay, California. Now San Francisco or San Diego. And you can, over time, hone in to, we're going to this one spot on this one beach in San Diego, but you didn't have to know all of that right then. You just had to choose east or west, right? So I often tell them, what's the next right step? Let's just make one decision and figure out what that next right step is. So, if you've learned anything, and it sounds like you've learned a lot as an entrepreneur and a family guy and a friend to others and a leader in your business, what advice would you give to our listeners who are wanting to lean in to the pursuit of growth well? And how would you tell them to lean into that balance?
We preach a lot about community here in the business sense. And, that's our company mission. Like I said at the start of this conversation, is to help companies engage community. I think the best thing that an entrepreneur can have, a father can have, a son can have, a employee can have, is really good community. Now, community comes in a variety of forms, right? When you're at work, the community are your coworkers and fellow colleagues. Community could be something like a parents group, or community could be something through your church, or it could be just the softball team that you play on. I think that it is so important for everybody, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. You have to have a community around you that is keeps your best interest in mind, that knows who you really are. So, they can kind of pick up on hints when they're not you, and can check on you and, just ask about you, or, even just extend a hand to you. I think that is literally the most important thing. I actually read a study recently about the power of community, and the study, what they had done was they took a rat, they took a test mouse, and what they did is they basically got it addicted to drugs. And what they would do is they'd put the drugs into the water, and they would basically allow this rat who was isolated to have unlimited access to this drug. And what it found was the rat wanted nothing else other than the drug. It wanted no toys, didn't even want food, didn't want the wheel, didn't want to sleep. It wanted the drugs. It wanted the water, because that's what it kind of found itself in. What was amazing was if you put a rat in an environment that had that same kind of laced water with the same drug, but there were also, other mice, other rats in the cage, they would not go to the drug. They would actually go to the community, and they would spend time with the other mice, and they would play the toys, and they would engage, and they would, bundle up and sleep together and stay warm. And it was showing that the power of kind of isolation and, the risk of substance abuse, affecting those people, and the power of community, and how if you have that community, you're much more likely, no matter who you are, to gravitate to that. Now, that's not everybody, but it's above the average. So, I took that just so personal, and regarding just how important it is for people to have people around them, no matter what environment you're in, and it can transform your life and can lead to so many amazing things.
It really can. And, it hit me recently with my children starting, one started a different school and she didn't have any friends. Mm-hmm. And it really hit me how much community is built off of shared experience, right? So in work, when you guys are in the office with your team and you're trying to figure out a problem, community's being built. When you're, watching a baseball game with your buddies, community is being built. And so for those who think community is hard, which I tend to be an introvert at times and not want to lean into community, just go somewhere where people are doing the same things you like doing. Absolutely. Whether it's watching a baseball game or it's, going to a place that you love, or it's going to a library where people are reading books. It doesn't matter. It just matters that you take that next right step into something that you're interested in. Mm-hmm. And there are so many people out there that are also interested in those things, and communities built naturally around shared experience. So it's really been interesting watching my daughter find her people, right? And inevitably, all of her people like the same thing she does. Go figure. And only one of them's in her class, a couple of them are in another class, right? But it just goes to show that's where community is. So I think it's so important to, what are you excited for in the future? This is a big, wide open question, but yeah. I feel like entrepreneurs and business people and people who are growth minded, but yet grounded, still have an eye towards the future. And so I like to ask, and I'm not asking you to predict the future so much as just like, what do you got an eye on? What are you excited about?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways to answer that. Like you said, that's a big question. Personal life, I'll start there. I think the obvious are the next stages that I'm taking this year between, marriage and home buying and, being able to kind of start my own family, my family of community of my own family. I'm excited about that. Marketscale, I'm just so excited with everything that we're doing. We were fortunate to launch our own tech platform about 2 years ago, and it's just amazing, right? It's like watching a kid grow and learn, every day. This platform is just getting so smart and so advanced. And, I'm excited to see where our programmers and our product team are going to continue to take that in the future. I'm excited about, ways that I'm going to be engaging, Marketscale's clients and ambassadors. You talked about baseball. I'm going to be announcing that I'm going to be doing this fun baseball travel with opening day coming up in just a couple of weeks. I'm going to be going to literally all these baseball stadiums around the country, and whether we have account managers or ambassadors or clients there, I'm gonna take them to baseball because what's
That's
better
awesome.
than watching a game with a cold beer and a warm hot dog and good friendship. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about where AI is going. I think AI. I don't personally see it as much of a threat. I think it can be, and that's another conversation. But I'm excited to see how it's going to help people elevate in their careers, how it's going to create new jobs that didn't exist, how it's going to be able to help someone like me be way more efficient and way more elegant in the way that I communicate. I'd say those are probably the top shelf items that I'm most excited about. But there's obviously a lot more than that, Birdman.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited about baseball too. Are you coming to Atlanta? Because you need to tell somebody if you are.
You're first on the list.
Speaking of the way, I think you may remember this, but the way that I built my relationship with Marketscale was one of your reps, who's become a dear friend of mine, David, took me to a baseball game. And we shared an evening watching a quite excellent baseball game. And, it's that shared experience, right? And now I'm part of the Marketscale community just because we watched a baseball game together. And he's a pretty good dude too. So
he's okay. He's okay.
Man, Tim, thank you so much for joining us on the Growthwell podcast. It's such an adventure. This is episode 2. I'm really excited about where this is going. So thank you so much for being on today.
Oh, absolutely, Josh. Love being the 2-hole hitter. It's an important role in the lineup. But no, I'm excited, Josh, that you're lending your voice. You're just such a natural, community builder. People are gravitated to you. You're so engaging. You're so smart, and I'm just thankful that the world's going to be able to hear your voice and some of your amazing guest voices. So I'm excited to become a fan of everything you produce.
Thanks, Tim. And that's a wrap, y'all. Thank y'all for listening today. If you're liking what you're hearing, put a like in the comments, comment below, tell us what you think, share, subscribe, do all the things that all the other, YouTubers and podcasters tell you to do. You know what to do. We hope you get value out of this. Thanks, as always, to my friends at Marketscale for their generous support of this podcast. And I hope you have an amazing week pursuing growth well. Until next time, see ya.